Hi Scorpio, here is a general look at your solar chart for May 2014, and this is the time of the year that the Sun comes into your opposite sign, Taurus, so there's a lot of activity even after the 21st of May when the Sun leaves that area there. So this is the time of the year when you should be looking at how to get the best out of close liaisons, partnerships, working partnerships and associations which are close, whether those are fleeting ones or long established ones, or ones you're not quite sure how long they're going to last yet. You know, all sorts of relationships, because you can, if you're working in a dynamic duo with somebody, then you can be a lot more effective and feel perhaps more supported, or perhaps share support than you would if you were going it alone. But also, this is the time of the year to be aware of what's happening with Jupiter and Pluto, Pluto being your ruling planet. So anywhere Pluto goes, then it will have a knock-on effect with you in your life. It has that effect, of course, with all of us, but this is particularly personal for you. And at the moment, indeed, over April, ever since, in fact, the back end of March, over April and over half of May, these two are going to be very close by degree, opposing each other across the wheel. So we've got Pluto in a long-running transit in Capricorn and Jupiter in a relatively short transit in Cancer, both of which are in a really good angle to your sun sign, even though they are opposed. And because they're in a good angle to your sun sign, what their opposition angle is likely to manifest, even though uncomfortable in the short term, nowhere near as uncomfortable if they were not in such a good angle. And because they are well disposed towards your sign, then what the opposition might demand from you is likely to stand you in very good stead later on. So what's that about? Well, Jupiter is very strong, working out of its own house, the 9th, meaning that your mental territory has been expanding, maybe your physical territory, you've been broadening your experience and your horizons, and you know a lot more. You're on quite a learning curve. You're finding out a lot, learning through doing, and it's also a great vibration for broadcasting things onto a wider stage. Pluto currently is opposite that point there. And Pluto is a very different kettle of fish, because Pluto is about extremes and intensity, but basically it wants to get right down, it wants to drill right down to what's the truth here. It wants to understand the subtext. And Pluto has for quite a while now been in your communication sector. So even though you yourself are known to be the one in the zodiac which is got the detective sort of mind in a way, has got this urge to get under the surface and under the skin of things and sniff out, sound out what doesn't gel, what doesn't sort of sit right with you. This Pluto transit, which is years long, is going to add to that. So in this current opposition here, it's getting into the subtext. It's realizing that a superficial take on what somebody is saying or the way they're behaving isn't good enough for Pluto. Pluto wants to know the underlying reasons, Pluto ruling all things to do with psychoanalysis, apart from detective work and all of that. And the occult, and really Pluto is about cutting deeply into things. So you're going to have to say to yourself, okay, what do I need to drop now in my beliefs, in my way I communicate? I need to cut to the chase here with all of this. You know, I don't want to be beating around the bush anymore. I don't want to be kept waiting in the wings anymore nervously, because Pluto also rules underworld elements. So there might be something about communications, toing and froing physically as well, vehicles, transport, also communications in the way I'm doing now, and you know, writing and also very creative communications through the arts. Because it rules the underworld, there might be a little bit of a sense there of, I've got to watch my back, I've got to be careful here with this, I've got to watch my P's and Q's maybe. There's something always a little bit secretive about Pluto. So this is a time when you should be deeply questioning your beliefs, drilling down to get to the truth, being very honest about yourself, but also understanding that because it is in this strong link with Jupiter, that will be almost like your multipass to that letting go, and that deeper understanding, and then the letting go is your multipass to expansion, to a whole dimension, a new dimension of existence. This almost like deeper inquiry into how you think, what you say, how others think, what they say. And it is true, it is possible that nobody ever truly, truly saw another for who they truly, truly are, including the person themselves. So these are the kinds of questions, you know, that you may be having to entertain a little bit more at the moment, and realizing the power of one's mind. You know, and actually it can take us to the brink of disaster, but it can also pull us back, because Pluto is death and rebirth. So if it's in the house of the mind, or the communications house in your solar chart, then we're looking straight into the eyes of we're looking into the eye of the storm, but also we're looking at the diamond of truth there. You know, we're looking through, maybe I should have used another metaphor, we're looking through that blackness, which is the lump of coal, and finding the diamond in there and thinking, God, I didn't know that was in there, I thought this was just all black. So having to let go in order to broaden the horizons, that the past is having to let go, and maybe, you know, to come down off your high horse over something, to forgive something, or if you can't do that, then is just to move on from it in your mind. And when I say mind for you, I mean feelings as well. I don't just mean, you know, lip service to something, because you are a Scorpio and you don't do that really. You have much deeper feelings than that. So there can be some intense interchanges, you know, interacting with others, some very intense interchanges at certain points over, you know, the end of March. Well, I'm not even there yet when I'm doing this, but you'll see this from mid-April, so intense interchanges over April, and really getting to the marrow of the situation, really getting to the nub of it, and that's going to evolve and change you, and then lead you onto this bigger stage, this larger understanding, this overview, the putting together of the pieces, the sort of almost like tying it all up in a way. And you're realizing that you mustn't be obsessed or consumed by this or that or the other idea or assumption or judgment or criticism, neither about your neighbor or yourself, because it's not likely to be absolutely spot on 100% true. So anyway, that blinkered approach comes into question with this Jupiter opposite Pluto. But as I said in the beginning, they are in such good angle that any work that you manage to achieve with these two, and they're very quite difficult, awkward energies because they are opposite, is going to reward you later, because they are paying off to you by their very good angle to your sun sign. So at least try and understand that a little bit and try and do something with it, and letting go from the mind, maybe scripts that have been imposed on you years ago, even, you know. Because why do you carry that around with you? You know, it's like a running program all the time, isn't it? It's like a habitual, you don't even know you're doing it sort of thing. Anyway, enough about that. And also Saturn, I have to mention Saturn. Oh yes, I think I'll just tell you which part of your sign that's most likely to be affecting the Jupiter Pluto. You'll feel it the strongest, those of you born 4th to the 7th of November, but it will be felt throughout the whole of the sign in slightly lessening degrees, so that's 12 to 14 degrees rising. And also I want to mention Saturn, which again, like Jupiter and Pluto, are very, very sort of slow transits going on in the background all the time. Saturn is going to be affecting you, those of you born 10th to the 13th of November, the most, or rather I should be feeling it the most, and that's 18 to 21 degrees rising, but again affects the whole sign, and that's just the sun I'm talking about. I'm not mentioning all your other planets, which could also be in different degrees of Scorpio. You see, if you're out of, if you're not born the 10th to the 13th, well, you might have Mercury or Venus at 18 or 21 degrees, but we're only doing the sun here. So basically the Saturn cycle is really getting you to sit up and take notice about your life, and to get more responsible about your life and your targets, your goals, your nearest, your dearest, your obligations, really getting you to sort of, you know, kind of click your heels together and you know, really wake up and kind of take notice, and that's in a general way. It's already been running for about 1.5 years now, and it's got until the end of this year to go, except for you very late Scorpios, and then it will be popping in again in 2015 for a short visit. But through adversity you are steadily and consistently building a new life, really, a new foundations. It's all about the foundation level at the moment. It's nothing grand or flashy, you know, to write home about. It's almost like you've got to keep plugging away there in the background, getting it right. Other people don't really realize how much you're having to do, and you are forming this. You're putting the footings in. You're putting in the in like the fence posts before the fence can go on, you know, or the superstructure of the house, or however you want to see it. It's the chassis of the car, and you know, it gets hidden afterwards. But without that strong, you know, Saturn rules the skeletal structure. That's why I keep using these metaphors about foundations and chassis and footings, because it's the armature. It's the armature that holds everything else together, you know. It's the cake. I think I said that before you put the icing on, you know. But yeah, it's the mixture for the cake even before it's baked. So this is something that you just have to keep you know, battling away with, and overcoming those obstacles as best you can. And every time you've been through, when Saturn gets close to your sun, you know, you'll feel the weight of it, you'll feel the pressure of it, and it will manifest as obstacles coming in all over the place, and delays, and you'll be frustrated by things. And this is a character building transit. You know, how well can you hack it? How well can you take it? And even and probably you're thinking you can't do it very well at all, because that's the way Saturn likes to operate. She seems to like to take away our confidence and kind of grind us right down. Yes, well, I'm laughing now, but it's not very nice when you're actually in it. So however, this is the magic thing with Saturn. It's a bit like resistance training, because once you do overcome the Saturnian you can actually turn around and look back at that and say, I did that. That was me and nobody else but me. I did that. I cracked it. I did it. Right? So it's yours. Nobody can ever, ever take it away from you. Now, the sun is in your opposite sign. I've mentioned that, and very much close interactions with others, lots of communications there, and you're going to be clarifying your own thinking about things, but you could feel quite close, particularly at the beginning of the month. Creative, spontaneous. It can be about children, it can be about loved ones, it can be about animals. And you feel rewarded, you feel empowered, they've got more chance to feel like that. And then from the 3rd, you're in a more practical mood, you're rolling up your sleeves, you wanted to get on with seeing how you and someone can really do something together and make it right and do it correctly and repair, maintain. You want to be of service, you want to assist, you want to cooperate, others want to help you too. And then from the 8th, communications, your mind starts to turn inwards, you start to plot and plan and scheme, but also emotions get in the way. The thinking can be a bit emotional, but you are looking at the piggyback, you are thinking about property. There may be more discussions around this kind of thing, also around an agreement or a contract of some kind, but you are sensitive to another's feelings, you're very sensitive to their feelings. From the 21st, it's a gear shifting phase, so there's going to be some more of that. You quietly, introspectively, gauging, weighing, figuring it out, harking back to the past and then realizing that you've got to move on into the future, thinking about things in a financial, legal or moral sort of sense, and knowing that you can't go it alone. You've got to be always aware of the other in this scenario, whether that is somebody close or an outside agency or whatever it is. And you're, as again, you know, looking at the material considerations here. And then Mars is very much been working from the background for many months now. We'll be doing that up until July, and putting you in a very, very strongly service orientated mood, realizing that you've just got to hack it, you've got to deal with it, you've got to just make it work, make it happen, however it is, but being a little bit burrowed away, tucked away, maybe unappreciated for how much you are doing at times. You've got to be there as a support. Others might be leaning on you a bit more, but also you absolutely 100% have to engineer healing, nurturing practices, experiences, environments for yourself. You know, you must do this, because this is such a long transit of Mars, which can be quite draining and make you feel very fed up, along with the Saturn thing. So you absolutely have to pull yourself up by your bootstraps and get yourself to somewhere with music or with beauty, or, you know, whatever it is for you, you know, meditation, yoga, any of those sorts of things. Do a selection, but make sure you do it regularly every day. And because your energies are likely to be quite down, and if you haven't got the energies in you, if you haven't got the juice in your batteries, then how can you be of service? How can you do all of the things I've been telling you about, you know, which is giving you sort of an idea about things, without that power in you? You need to get the life force in you. You need to do that. So anyway, that's it for May. If you know your rising sign and your moon sign, listen to the forecast for those. And also you can see this written up on my website. And I wish you well, and I'll see you the next time.